Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. Just acknowledging knowledge with no scholarships. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. Breaking everything down, tech to politics. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. We don't tell you what you want, we just give you what you need. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. News, brews, and views from these Chi-Town streets. Topic Thunder.
Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the program. It's Topic Thunder, available just about every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and already populating and percolating is the world's most dangerous chat zone we call the Thunderdome. Aunt Chris, Adrian, and Ma Jordan already up there in the chat.
The luminaries are piling in.
Right, which is what this show is about. Ben and I fashion ourselves as info tenders, and we pour conversation. So when you walk into the Thunderdome, you're walking into the Internet Saloon, as we like to call it. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get to, I hope, an interesting show.
We were talking about this before we came on the air, Brooks. We sometimes I get a flavor of what the show is going to be like in the minutes before we go on the air, as I go through all of the stories and organize them and make sure that they're ready to be put up on the screen and everything. And as I was going through, I noticed this is going to be one of what I'm going to affectionately call a breadcrumb episode. Where everything seems to link together. So we're not going to have a broad range of topics but we're going to have a broad range of topics within a couple of larger topics on this episode. So we're going to deep dive a little bit more, which is what it's fun to do this every once in a while. I like when we spray to all fields. That's fun. But I also like when we hone in on something and we also see how when things are linking together and we all together kind of go, oh, whoa, as the links start to come together. I love that. That's one of my favorite discussions that we'd have around here in Topic Thunderland.
It's like doing a puzzle together, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Like we just pour all the pieces out on the table and we're like, all right, we're going to figure this out.
Right, and like you don't know what this thing is by looking at it, so you figure out where it goes, and all of a sudden a larger picture kind of arises.
Yeah,
it's going to be one of those shows, folks. And yes, it's going to be one of those shows. So why don't we just kind of kick it off right now? Whether you're on Twitch, YouTube, the Facebook, or I don't think we're anywhere else. Certainly
Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. Yeah, those are the three big ones.
I'm good with that.
I mean, listen, if you can't find us and you need to go deeper than that, that's on you. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
I'd be touched if we were on the dark web somewhere, but
yeah, sure.
Right? Like underground, like people love us.
Who knows wherever thy Australian guy found us.
Right, anywhere. And just by the way, speaking of all of those social media broadcast platforms, while you're watching, and just before we get into our drink here, just hit that like button really quick. It makes a difference. We all talk about that. We all know about like the algorithm of like more likes, the more attention, the more that gets shared and everything.
Right.
Just go ahead and hit that like button and do us a big favor if you're not already kind of subscribing. And just tune in, subscribe. That also makes a big difference too. And then you won't have to search for a link when the show comes up. So the drink today actually is...
What are you drinking on, Brooks?
A little bit of red Costco wine. It's actually that rough day.
We always do. Okay, we're diving in on topics, and Brooks is drinking red Costco wine. Folks, we are in for a good one tonight, baby.
Woo!
Woo! Buckle up, folks.
It's that we actually did this wine before. It was the rough day. It had the cool picture of like the sad like kind of dog, like the bulldog with the big jowls. You know that if the head splash, like it's just going to be just a shower for everybody. But it actually was a rough day. So this has become now therapy to kind of communicate and just be normal with y'all. So cheers. Zdrovia Stolat. Everybody, Solanche. It's yummy. I've already been drinking it. So I already know.
Let's fucking go.
Fucking go, everybody. Hey, Ryan Hansen, Dad Evan Brooks, and Sir Aaron have joined us. So welcome, one and all. Topic Thunder is going to bring to you, well, a little story called over 300 missiles and drones being shot across the Middle East towards a country.
Affectionately known as the beginning of World War III. Like, well, actually, pretty much officially.
Look, I would argue that point by saying that when this is all said and done, brother, that the historians will probably look back at the soft invasion of Ukraine back in 2014 as the official start of this, because you think
history will look back and say that was kind of the match that lit the fuse, so to speak?
That was the moment when certain world stage actors got the green light to go ahead and do whatever the fuck they want, because Western governments were too busy being pussies to do anything about it. But we'll get to that in maybe just a little bit.
Okay.
I might be a little bit angry.
Yeah. You've been watching Turning Point, sir.
Hello. This is we're almost done. We're firing through the.
We finished, so next week we'll be able to talk more in depth.
Yeah, we're firing through that Turning Point documentary, which I highly recommend you watch on Netflix. If you have Netflix, it's free. Check it out. It really sets up the basis of kind of what we're about to talk to here. This is from our good friends at Axios.com. Biden told Netanyahu the U.S. will not support an Israeli counterattack on Iran. President Biden told Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu during a call on Saturday that the U.S. won't support any Israeli counterattack against Iran, a senior White House official told Axios. Axios is great because they just got to break it down to bullet points. It's really easy to read why this matters. Biden and his senior advisors are highly concerned an Israeli response to Iran's attack on Israel would lead to a regional war with catastrophic consequences, U.S. officials said. And the biggest, you think?
Yeah, duh.
Iran launched attack drones and missiles against Israel on Saturday in retaliation for an Israeli airstrike in Syria that killed a top Iranian general. So let's understand.
No. Only Israel is allowed to retaliate. That's what if we've learned nothing from Joe Biden and the folks in the U.S. government, it's that only Israel is allowed to retaliate.
We might be a little bit on. We don't necessarily agree on a lot of things. But we also agree on a lot of things. This might be one of those things that we kind of agree on here. More than 200 drone, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles were fired from Iran. An Israeli Defense Force spokesperson said most of the threats were intercepted outside of Israel airspace, which leads me to a little bit of a sidetrack. Talk about the countries that were actually participating in actively defending Israeli airspace, that not in Israeli airspace.
Saudi Arabia apparently was sharing some information.
Saudi Arabia participated in shooting down drones, ballistic, and cruise missiles. Jordan opened up its airspace for not only Israeli airplanes, but also U.S., French, and UK airplanes to actively hunt and destroy drones and cruise and ballistic missiles. We're going to get into a little bit more of the technology that was using this, because for the first time ever, the United States used a weapon they've never used in live combat before.
Really? Interesting.
And it gets really fun because it hits the different notes of the show, because there's a heavy volume of science involved in the weapon they used.
Love it. That's great.
Why this particular moment matters. Biden and his senior advisors were highly concerned. We already talked about that. More U.S. Behind the scenes, Biden told Netanyahu that the joint defensive effort by Israel, the U.S., and other countries that matters. That Saudi Arabia, that
other Muslim countries, or they definitely came to Israel's defense, and that is an interesting tidbit,
right? That U.S. warplanes were involved. U.S. cruisers were firing missile weapons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting because you would have thought Saudi Arabia would have stayed out of it. Right?
Jordan closed its airspace. They all closed their airspace hours before, and it was literally happening our time, kind of more like early morning. So it was something that like it was going on, and I'm trying to. My weekend routine is to wake up, walk the dog, get a cup of coffee, sit down, and play some video games. It's my alone time.
There you go. Love it.
Do not ever disturb me. I'm just kidding. But like it's something where I let the pretty lady sleep in, right? For her the time to get all that beauty rest that she gets.
Sure.
Clearly. So it was a situation where I've got this hot fucking potato in my hand of awful news. No one to talk to about it. And when she wakes up and she's just kind of walking into the world as we all kind of want to do at our own
sleep
terms.
Still in her eyes.
Right? I'm like,
you're hitting her with, oh my God,
like
drones
going to Israel.
Oh my God, World War III.
Right? So it had a little, and credit to me that I tempered myself well and waited an appropriate amount of time. But then it all started to unfold, right? You started seeing videos from Saudi Arabia. People like hearing the drones in the middle of the night, like, and people were then sharing similar videos from Ukraine, very similar sounding drones, right? Which were then followed and timed with a wave. See, they sent the drones first, right? And it took hours to get from Iran to Israel, or at least trying to get to Israel, right?
Right.
But it was timed specifically with then ballistic and cruise missile fires that would kind of arrive at the same times.
Huh.
Right.
I wonder what is Iran thinking here, in your opinion? Are we gonna get? Or am I getting ahead of myself here? Like, what's the end game here? Like, yes, they're retaliating, but like, man, their timing couldn't be worse. Like, you know what I mean? Like why do this now? Like, there's always an ulterior motive to something like this, and I wonder what the ulterior motive is.
Let's take a second and just consider our political environment, where your words right there also apply. This could not be happening at a worse time, right?
Sure.
Where you've got one president who's falling asleep in court.
Well, yeah.
Right? Can't stay awake during his own trial and proceedings of jury selection, which you would think with all that bluster that he would want to attend, right? And stating that this would never happen under his reign. And then one who's actively trying to diffuse the situation because he knows the consequences of escalation. But we'll get to that too.
Yeah,
there's a certain
I'll give him a little bit of win there in saying he's at least trying to play referee, but at the same time, it's like he's playing referee, but the other side, one side knows that he's clearly in the pocket of one side, right? Like hey guys, let's play fair, but at the same time, like he still defends Israel. He still looks the other way when Israel grabs the fucking gimmick, right? You know what I mean?
If I don't want to put words into your mouth, Ben, but if we're saying like there's a different set of rules for, say, Ukraine than there is Israel, I will point to the hundreds of billions, if not then trillions of dollars of U.S. defense spending and weaponry that are currently placed in Israel that we are saying no to for Ukraine. And what happened from Iran to Israel on Saturday happens in Ukraine every day. We're going to talk about that. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm angry. So Biden tells Netanyahu, you've got to win. This is after the very successful interception of almost 300 projectiles being fired towards Israel. You got to win. Take the win. Biden tells Netanyahu, according to this official, who, of course, is going to remain anonymous. The official said that when Biden told Netanyahu that the U.S. will not support or participate in any offensive operation against Iran and will not support such operations at all, Netanyahu said he understood, and that's the appropriate position for the United States in this regard.
Yeah, I'll give him credit there. Like, that's the way to go about it. Yep.
That's the appropriate posture of de-escalation, right? U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin spoke on Saturday with his Israeli counterpart Yoav Gallant and said that Israel, at least asked that Israel notify the U.S. ahead of any response against Iran, which is fair. That is what allies do.
Yeah, please just give us a heads up if you're going to, kick off a potential nuclear war.
And it's not even kind of that. It's just so we can alert our local law enforcement on a federal, state, and local level, right? That there might be an uptick in activated terrorist cells because of this, because folks, those things are here, right? And there might be an uptick in protest-related violence. Just to put that the good guys, please, the good guys on alert, right? That sort of thing, right? Do we need to mobilize assets? Do we need to get relief involved, or do we need to get the secretive operatives with the license to kill?
Right. It's just. Hey, listen. If we're gonna be allies, if we're allies in this, they give us a fucking heads up. It's what I guess, for lack of a better term, common courtesy.
Yes.
Right.
Like, we would, if we were going to send missiles towards a country near you, we would give you the heads up. So let us know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is coming from Biden. I told President Netanyahu that Israel demonstrated a remarkable capacity to defend against and defeat even unprecedented attacks, sending a clear message to its foes that they cannot effectively threaten the security of Israel, which is true. And that's no small feat. Now, it took the might of some mighty countries to help out. But it's very true that there was an impressive display of force. And don't get me started on the whole, like, those are NATO countries, and if they did something against Russia, because now we're splitting hairs there. And we're going to talk about
a little bit of a straw man argument there, too.
Right. Absolutely. What and to kind of round out this article before we kind of move on a little bit here, but what to watch for is that Biden said he's going to hold a call Sunday with the G7 leaders to coordinate a united diplomatic response to Iran's attack. This was a quote from the president. My team will engage their counterparts across the region, and we will stay in close touch with Israeli leaders. And while we have not seen attacks on our forces or facilities today, we will remain vigilant to all threats and will not hesitate to take all necessary action to protect our people. End quote.
Also fairly well worded, I guess, what you would hope for, a statement. That would not be the statement that would come from Donald Trump.
That's, folks,
be sure of that.
What I just read is what we call normal.
Right.
And is what maintained the peace that we know, at least that we've known in our lifetimes. Now, I know there are people listening on a podcast that grew up in the shadow of World War II or participated in such events as the Korean War, or were at least alive, or the Vietnam War, and were alive for the wars that we call the Gulf War and all the other conflicts, right? But they aren't necessarily a world war. Like, we're kind of walking into. But part of the problem with the world wars of the past is that we're not necessarily paying attention to the lessons there, right?
No.
And this has nothing to do with the next story. I want to kind of park on this for a second. The appeasement idea. The idea that, like, as long as we don't make them too upset.
Them as in who?
This particular policies applied to Russia, and this is something that actually the Turning Point documentary also touches upon. The fact that, like, Russia's out there waving that saber of nuclear war. We're gonna bomb you. We're gonna have the most powerful bombs in the world, and if we blah, blah, blah. Which is really just a bluff. And the really smart people of the intelligence political world, like Dr. Fiona Hill, who's featured on that podcast or that documentary, former ambassador Michael McFaul, a former ambassador to Russia, as on Tom Nichols, retired Navy warfare college professor. All of these experts who know Russia and the political environment, they're far better than anybody right now.
Right. True experts on the situation. Yeah.
They've read the books. They know the history. They can tell you all about the first Tsar ever. They can tell you all about how the Mongolians took over. The far more intelligent people on the subject all say the only thing that they understand is force, power. So when they sense somebody backing down at the least bit, or even like standing their ground, they consider that weakness and they push the field, which is exactly what's happened in Ukraine. And now what is going to be exactly happening with Iran, because now Iran is threatening, look, if Israel puts even one person in our soil or does anything in our soil, the retaliation will be immense and so much more terrible. And while we believe you, because I honestly think they're a nuclear power at this point, they've been given enough time to enrich uranium, and I'm sure the triumvirate of Russia and China are sharing nuclear secrets there.
Right. You don't make a move like what they just did if you're not sure that if the shit hits the proverbial fan, that you're not capable of fully defending yourself if you have to.
What this is Biden trying to curtail the response, right?
He's trying to just put a lid on, like, imagine like he's like holding down a garbage can lid that is rumbling from underneath him, and he's just trying to hold it down. And he's like, God, just come on, guys, hold this together. It's a balancing act that, like you said, timing could not be worse, because if this drags on and is likely to drag on, because listen, as we said at the beginning of this whole thing, it is rooted in thousands of years worth of religious war. This isn't going to end in the next few months. So the next president, whoever they are or aren't, is going to matter in how this whole thing may spin out of control or not. Like, say what you will, I have been very vocal that Joe Biden is far from my ideal pick, and that I think he's at this point an embarrassment to put out on television, but he's saying and doing the right things in this situation, and seems to have the presence in the room to speak to both sides with a level-headedness that seems to be necessary from our perspective, our seat at the table, that is not likely to be in that seat should what I expect to happen in November happen, and Donald Trump is in that seat. He's not going to be the not the brains, but the level head in the room. He's not going to be the voice of reason in the room. I mean, did you hear him babbling about the Gettysburg Address the other day? Like when he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, he just babbles and says words. And if he gets in front of those guys and starts babbling and saying words about how great everything is and how, awesome and wonderful and big and hugely and all of the things that he says when he's rambling about things he doesn't understand, what is that going to do? There's no peacekeeper at the fucking table if he's involved.
And it's murky water, given all of the wonderful misinformation and disinformation available out there. Like apparently decision makers aren't aware of the black and white issues that are here. And I want to kind of rein it in just a little bit before I move on to this thing right here. I don't make a very clear difference because I was saying earlier that I was very upset about a couple things. Like one of them is that I actually believe Israel has a right to respond to this. I think I also agree with President Biden and most Western allies saying that it shouldn't be reminiscent of your display of force in Gaza, where you just go for the jugular, which I also can argue is appropriate in a different form. I think it should be a measured response. I think it should be a well, we've got a bigger dick response. No. The more effective thing, and this is historically true, the more effective thing to do is to make it surgical, to make it strategic, to make it something that they weren't thinking about. That like, oh shit, they had access to that, or they knew who that was, or they knew where that was. I think it should be more along those lines.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to kind of just start lobbing missiles and fighter jets and shit like that.
Yeah.
I just I hope it's not something that's escalatory or barbaric, because it can get really ugly really fucking quick.
Yeah, I mean I think unfortunately, I have to disagree with you because it's just not who I am, and being anti-war, there's got to be a better way than playing the tit for tat, eye for an eye game, right? Because
you have to show them that what they did
doesn't Iran making the exact same argument right now? Then you're playing tit for tat.
But in a lot of ways, what was just shown, the display of force that was just shown, and the people
that should be enough.
Yes, but I also think that Israel does. Again, this is the idea that the United States has stepped into Ukraine and said hey, we can't have you attacking Russian oil fields and petroleum refineries because that's gonna.
Right, because it's okay. It's like, and again, I know you're trying to put a bow on this, but it's like, okay, there's a bear charging at you, and you were able to distract and throw off that bear, and the bear stopped chasing you. You go, instead of going, well, shit, I avoided that. I fended off the bear. Let me get the fuck out of here and not engage the bear anymore. You're going to engage the bear and I stopped the bear. Well, now I'm going to show the bear that I'm more powerful than the bear. And you're like, just leave the fucking bear alone. He learned his lesson. Why escalate this shit? Why go after the bear and poke the bear?
So there are two different people facing two different bears all at the same time, right? One has a knife, right? The other has nuclear weapons.
Right.
Somebody needs to show some restraint.
Sure.
Somebody needs to run away and make sure that they're doing things appropriately, because their weapon of choice is.
Yeah, I think Iran failed miserably, and they're probably licking their wounds at this point, and they're embarrassed on some level. They have to be. This failed miserably.
If done correctly, if you're, I don't know, say an unnamed country's spy agency, and you have known assets and contacts in said country, and you're kind of tucked them away, just waiting for some weird moment where, in case of emergency, break glass, and that happened, you just saw basically 99% of all of that artillery and whatnot get absolutely wasted before it even arrived.
Right.
You start pumping that, right? That's an effective weapon. Again, I'm not saying the Israeli response should be military. I'm really not.
I think even Gigi makes a good point. I think we're still in the early moments of this. and things are going to play out, obviously, and we're going to get a little bit more information and get maybe a clearer picture of what Iran was thinking and what their response may or may not be, and what Israel's response may or may not be.
Again, we're trying to play out this breadcrumb episode. So in this whole situation, I saw a fascinating article that we're just going to glance through really quick here. That and I talked about this earlier, that the U.S. Navy shot down an Iranian missile with a weapon they've never used in combat before. The U.S. Navy fired SM-3s to intercept Iranian ballistic missiles last weekend. Secretary of the Navy Carlos Del Toro confirmed the use of the SM-3 during a Tuesday hearing. It is the first. All right, here we go. It is the first time that the exo-atmospheric interceptor has been used in combat.
That's a hell of a name.
That's what first caught my eye, because I know what those words mean.
Right.
So
I don't.
Outside or outside of. So and atmospheric. So.
Outside the atmosphere intercept.
Are you telling me you just fired something that could shoot down something in space?
Yeah, I think they did, didn't
warship? So you used a weapon on a boat floating on wavy water to shoot down something that could possibly be in space? Okay, wow. I'm in. And that's not even the coolest part, Ben.
What? Okay.
U.S. Navy's used the missile interceptor for the first time in combat over the weekend, defending Israel from an unprecedented Iranian attack. The secretary said, blah, 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 fired SM-3 missiles. They've been firing SM-2. Guys, they've been firing SM-2s. They've been firing SM-6s. But just over the weekend, SM-3s to actually counter ballistic missiles that come from Iran. So I want to make also a very important clarification here. Ballistic missiles are... their intent is that their pathway is an arc up into the atmosphere and comes down on a target, as opposed to like a cruise missile, which is kind of more linear.
Never understood. I've heard the two terms, but never understood what the difference was.
So ballistic missiles or intercontinental or ICBMs, right? The idea is that their trajectory is such that they fire up in a very steep arc and come down very quickly, as opposed to like cruise missiles, which fire kind of laterally across the landscape.
Interesting.
So that's why it's really cool that we can shoot. We got something that can shoot these things down, right?
Right.
So we fired these SM-3s over the weekend in the first in an active engagement, right, from these from Navy ships. But what made these SM-3s very special, and it's right after that, the second paragraph right after that picture, Ben, is that first sentence. That, okay, you had me at like exo-atmospheric. Hello. The SM-3 is an element of the Navy's advanced Aegis combat system that uses a kinetic kill vehicle to hit and destroy short and intermediate range ballistic missiles during the mid-course phase of flight.
Kinetic kill vehicle. By the way, Kinetic Kill Vehicle was a hell of a death metal band in the late 90s.
It was a Rough Me Up album that they were told that they should never ever publish ever.
The Kinetic Kill Vehicle album.
There's a vault for those guys, and then there's what they call the safe.
Yeah, that one's never going to see the light of day.
Like that one is everything but destroyed. It is basically used as blackmail and compromise against the members of
Play it backwards.
Ben, I was sold on the idea of finding out what a kinetic kill vehicle was.
Yes, me too. Yes, thank you. I'm glad you were thinking the same thing I was, which is what the fuck is a kinetic kill vehicle?
So I did the old Google search and came to the Wikipedia page, and it's also anonymous with a kinetic energy weapon. So what is that? It's a projectile weapon based solely on a projectile's kinetic energy to inflict damage to a target, instead of using any explosive, incendiary, thermal, chemical, or radiological payload.
That's a lot of big words, dude.
All kinetic weapons work by attaining a high flight speed, generally supersonic or even hypervelocity, and collide with their targets, converting its kinetic energy and relative impulse into destructive shockwaves, heat, and cavitation. Just to give a better maybe overlay, is that picture over to the right. That is a homing overlay experiment. It's a metal fan. It's just a piece of metal. Really. That was rolled up during launch and expanded during flight. The metal has 5 times as much destructive power as an explosive warhead of the same weight. They literally shot a piece of metal at a missile and intercepted it.
So they shot one of these into the sky and
not necessarily that. I don't know what was on
something like that, though. Some sort of metal projectile with like fanned out like that.
All it was a missile containing a warhead containing that literally once it got into space, it or wherever it was to intercept, it just shot that thing out of it, and that was the end of that missile.
It's like missile command for real. Yeah.
For real. But it's cheap.
Really?
It's just a piece of metal.
Yeah, I guess,
it's
right?
It's not an explosive warhead, right? That takes time and expertise, engineering, like careful. Like you can't just rush the building of a warhead, can you now, right? It has to go through the proper channels because it's a fucking warhead.
right, yeah. Yeah, right. It's kind of important.
This is a metal fan. And wait till they start. They already have what they call rail guns that don't use a rocket at all. They just use basically like a electromagnetic ramp.
Jeez.
That once they reverse the charge, that whatever's sitting on that magnet is just going to fly off that rail.
Jeez.
At alarming speed. Speed or the power of the magnet.
Yeah.
So like, okay, cool. That touches a note right here, right? Like they use some really cool technology.
Hell yeah. That's crazy.
Awesome. That is awesome. Cheap, efficient, and effective. That becomes a real deterrent too. Like, hey guys, we just threw a metal fan at you. That
a giant metal fan. Fuck with that.
$2.73. That's what you want to fuck with that. That was U.S. aluminum and steel, by the way, just to let you know too. So it was homegrown and home manufactured, right? But that led to I haven't talked about Ukraine a whole heck of a lot, but it's not going well over there right now. And they announced today, and this is according to our friends Business Insider, Yahoo News link, they already knew they were in trouble. They openly admit that, but now they're saying they are legitimately on track to lose. And that is exactly what the aggressors are hoping for. So we haven't paid attention to that, right? Ineffective government. Well, we might talk about that in a second too. But the idea that we're not supporting that, and every day, not just one day, and I'm not trying to make an anti-Semitic response to what happened with Israel, because I honestly think that's really cool and an amazing show of force, an amazing show of don't fuck with this.
Sure.
But in the same breath, why haven't we been doing the same for Ukraine when the same thing's been happening? The Ukrainian government today came out and said that their own internal analysis of the situation is that they don't have enough ammunition. They don't have enough weaponry. They've got the people.
Yeah, I mean, does it have to do something with, I don't know, like NATO status or is it? I mean, there's obviously that, and the fact that there's something that seems underlying and almost non-transparent about the relationship between the United States and Israel.
Well, I mean,
there seems something shadowy or something that like nefarious that is holding us to be so obviously hypocritical on many things when it comes to Israel. It just seems like it's, you know what I mean? Like there's like the proverbial do they have photos of them you know what I mean? Like
it's a powder keg, so it is it's not exactly the Ukraine situation. That should be very clear, right? I want to make that very clear. They are not the same types of situations. There are not the same types of tensions and powers involved in that immediate area, because even though the good citizens of Georgia, and I don't mean the state in the United States,
right?
But I mean the independent country of Georgia are hundreds of thousands of people are in the streets over there protesting their government right now because of what apparently is very much sounding like a Russian takeover. That the same type of support shouldn't be given to Ukraine, and it's being tied up. We've talked about what the House of Representatives have been doing with the relief bills, and there's some relief coming in that regard. Apparently, Speaker Mike Johnson is making the absolute sin of trying to work with the other side of the political aisle and cut a deal.
That's against their obstructionist fucking ideology.
The F-16s are actually coming, Dad. Just to be honest with you, but and this was something that was stated a long time ago too, that the learning curve for that type of airplane from what the Ukrainian Air Force was using at the time with the like Russian MiGs and stuff like that was steep. So that is such an advanced vehicle for them. So they're actually, I think a few have actually been delivered. Don't quote me on this, but my inside skinny tells me that there are already qualified flight trained pilots, and there are F-16s available to the Ukraine. I just think that they're waiting for something, which makes sense given their history with this whole situation. Mm-hmm. They're just waiting for the right moment, and I think watch out for the Kerch Bridge that connects Russia to Crimea. Just watch out. That's the same bridge that they like sent those remote boats to.
Yeah, this just seems like an unwinnable situation.
It is winnable if given the right resources.
Yeah, you're right. And then, but so you have to say to yourself, is it necessary? Is it worth, like, you know what I mean? Like, man, we can't continue to just funnel money all over the world and play world police. Like I struggle with us continuing to play that role when we have enough of our own problems. And, you know, and Turning Point makes a great point about it, talking about, like, Putin looks at us and says, who the fuck are you to tell anyone what to do? Like, you do whatever, you break your own rules all the time, and then you want to hold people to the standards, but not hold yourself to those standards. We've looked up across, and he sees it and is one of the only leaders in the world that is willing to just say, "Fuck you."
Oh no, he's not. I mean, President Xi of China.
Emboldened, but Putin has been the leader of that.
And I'll tell you this, and everything you said was absolutely valid about our country, that whatever you think about the situation, if you were to objectively compare the way one country treats its citizenry versus another, and you had to make a decision, you're given all the stats, you're given all the data, life expectancy, average income, house, all that, I meant it, right? And you were given a choice. Would you pick the one that was the young guy on the block, or would you pick the guy that was the old guy on the block, just based on those two philosophies? I've been here longer, so I know what the fuck. Or like, hey, we might, We're a little bit.
It might be a new way of looking at things, kind of situation. Yeah.
Knowing the warts, right?
Yeah.
And again, at least we have a shot, or had a shot, at forming our own government and being for the people and having laws and benefits passed that truly made being an American citizen like that much more advantageous. We've missed the boat on a lot of that. But if I want to circle back to Ukraine really quick, and we're going to move on. If Ukraine falls, that will not be the end of this discussion.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the other side of the argument, is that it doesn't just end there. Like, there's part of me that's just like, just let Ukraine go, man. Like, it's lost already for all intents and purposes. So just let it go, man. Like, you're trying to hang on to something that's dead.
We have neighbors. One is their husband and wife. The husband is from Venezuela. The wife is from Lebanon. And we were in the lobby, in the hallway there, having a discussion with our dogs, and the dogs are running around, and we were talking, and they actually asked about the figures you see behind me here. And to make it simple, I wasn't gonna be like, oh, I collect Marvel and Indiana Jones and G.I. Joe and
right, really nerd the fuck out, right? Yeah,
right. I was like, oh, I collect these G.I. Joes mainly, two reasons. Like, these are the action figures that like would go and shopping with my mom to get me to shut up and cooperate during shopping. Mm-hmm. Mom would let me buy a G.I. Joe for me. And like, too, the other point is honestly like the very sweet and delicate, innocent belief that we were the good guys,
right?
Point in my life. That's why I collect these GI Joes, right? Is that I still kind of believe in that a little bit.
Sure.
And her name is Soho, and she explained, no, you're actually absolutely right, because if your country didn't exist to help out the people that really needed help, or really wanted to be free, you have no idea the amount of suffering and untold lives that have been lost because of basically, like, no, for all your warts, for all your faults, for all of the things that you on the inside like complain about, and rightfully so, because you're given a chance to. Mm-hmm. The minute we talk and criticize our country, somebody's not knocking at our door. Our IP addresses are being cut off.
Right.
Right. We have that ability. We have that opportunity, and we call that voting. We have that opportunity to, as long as we pay attention and know who we're voting for, and are media literate and social media literate, and are able to critically think. We have that opportunity here. That was the gift. That was the idea. And as corrupt as it might be,
I can understand that. I can feel that. Yeah, I'm too. The cynic in me gets a little too strong sometimes, right?
That's what they want.
Yeah.
That's the point of disinformation, Ben. It's not to make you think something else.
Well, no,
it's to make you believe in nothing, but believe.
Well, no, it's not that I don't. It's not that I believe in nothing, right? It's just that I believe that like some shit ain't our responsibility, and some shit has to be like some people. Sometimes some people gotta lose. There's gonna be losers in this situation. Sometimes people gotta lose, and it's not. We can't be there to save everybody all the time.
Some of the South American excursions this country has taken are completely in that vein, right?
Yes.
We've done more damage sometimes there than we've done any good.
Right.
Again,
with good intentions or not.
Fault of the people that were elected that put those people, Donald Rumsfeld, the dictator, in power in the 60s.
Right. We suck at interfering. Our history has shown the United States, the CIA, the United States government, not really good at the whole interfering in other nations thing. Like we're not good at it. Haven't been good at it.
Look, on the
ever
stage,
really.
We're the brash young upstarts, and that's what Putin's pissed about, right?
Still, right? Even as it's a couple hundred years old now, right? We're still the brash young upstarts because we haven't been around as long, right?
248 years coming up here soon. But again, these other countries have had thousands of years of history. Any country in Europe, they have churches that are older than this country.
Right? Yeah, exactly. They have buildings that are older than this country. Yeah.
It just happened, I think, in Denmark. They just a terrible fire burned a building that was 400 years old. there were Native Americans and Vikings in America at that time, right? That's it.
And that's what I thought was interesting. And I don't mean to spoil, and I think this is something that you already know that I'm not going to spoil anything. But I thought it was interesting that Turning Point talks about when they talk about Putin is that he doesn't long for the days of the Soviet Union. In fact, he thinks the people that were running things during the time of the Soviet Union were basically buffoons and did a terrible job and allowed the dissolution of the Soviet Union. He longs for the days of was it Peter the Great? Right?
The Russian Empire.
The thousands of years prior, like he longs for the days of like the early days of like you said, the Russian Empire, the early days of Russia. Like that's what he longs for.
Have been fought over for thousands of years, and a map that is probably 1,500 years old at this point, or at least 1,000 years old at this point. Mm-hmm. He wants those borders that have already been argued and fought over, blood spilled, bombs dropped, and
right. He wants to go back and rewrite that history.
And he can do it.
Yes.
Because we haven't stopped him. And the minute we give the same level of support to Ukraine that we gave to Israel in that moment, and gave them the ability to, like, you can't fuck with us. Not necessarily what Ukraine's trying to do, which they've been left to. Like, we need to sneak into Russia and blow up oil factories and our equipment factories, because what else are we gonna do? We can send small groups in there. It's easier and less expensive. We don't have the artillery. We don't have the drones. We don't have the fighter jets. We don't have guns.
But do we want that smoke?
Yes.
With Russia?
Yes.
Do we want that smoke with them?
Because what you punch a bully in the mouth.
Yeah, man, but that bully isn't gonna. You're playing by old school schoolyard tactics, but the schoolyard bully that you're gonna go punch in the mouth, he's not gonna come back like angry and like overreact and make a fool of himself. No, they're going to act very tactically, very cunningly, and not do it with physical force, so to speak. They're going to continue to play a game that you and I both know that they are steps ahead of us when it comes to these things. When it comes to chemical warfare, right? Like, I think they're steps ahead of us and more willing to cross that line. I think they're more willing to cross that line. That's what I mean by that. They have the capabilities and they're willing to cross that line, and they're willing to fuck with our infrastructure, which we're going to get to.
No, we're going to actually jump to, because we can skip that last one just to let you know. China is deep in not supporting the Russian war effort very keenly, very wisely, by sending them the tools to build weapons and stuff like that. Whereas countries like Iran and North Korea are directly shipping munitions and drones into Russia. So it's not just a one country affair, right? So at this point, Russia has not been backed down. And in any way, and Ben, you mentioned this, actually, it's funny because you sent me this, I think it was probably like 30 minutes before Tipped in Moscow had actually sent me the same. So you guys,
we're right. Me and that guy seem to agree and are on the same page quite often. It's amazing how
that's why we get along. Actually, to be honest with you, because I think Tippin's a tops guy.
Exactly.
This is from CNN, the dreaded CNN, but it's from today. Hello. Russia-linked hacking group suspected of carrying out cyber attack on Texas water facilities, cybersecurity firm says. A hacking group with ties to the Russian government is suspected of carrying out a cyber attack in January that caused a tank at a Texas water facility to overflow. Experts from the U.S. cybersecurity firm Mandiant said on Wednesday. The hack in a small town of Muleshoe, North Texas. Ben, where's Muleshoe?
Literally in my backyard. Like, it's like the next town over, if not like 2 towns over.
Which direction?
Excuse me. I want to say northeast of Lubbock, okay. Slightly northeast. It is a very small town. There's a bunch of small towns in the area around Lubbock, and this is one of those small towns around Lubbock in the panhandle of Texas. So, yeah, when I saw this and I saw Muleshoe, Muleshoe smells horrible. It does. It smells terrible there. Yes.
That, with the name of Muleshoe, I'm not honestly expecting much. Sorry.
But it's crazy to hear that Russian hackers were hacking a water facility in this literally like podunk town in the middle of the West Texas fucking panhandle. Like that, obviously just to see if they could do it.
It's a test, right?
You know what I mean? It's exactly. It's just, there's no significance of they just probably, I don't know how they picked it. It was probably like a dartboard kind of situation, or I don't know. They found that they had an access point, and they
found out there was a town called Muleshoe,
right? And they're like, you know what? Let's find the fuck out what's going on there. Yeah.
No, this was actually, I wouldn't be surprised if this was isolated and picked on purpose, just because it's so small and random, and like, oh, you know what? We got in. Let's see what we can do.
Sure. Yeah.
The story here goes on to say that the attack was a rare example of hackers using access to sensitive industrial equipment to disrupt regular operations at a U.S. water facility, following a separate cyber attack last November on a Pennsylvania plant that the U.S.
talked about it
on Iran. We talked about that. We also talked about one in Florida where they released a certain amount of chemicals that could have potentially been deadly.
Yep. Remember that one? Yep.
U.S. officials are concerned that many of the country's 150,000 public water systems have struggled to find the cash and personnel to deal with persistent hacking threats from criminal and state actors. Why are you surprised, U.S. officials? Because you've been the sons of bitches slashing public budgets for decades.
Yeah.
Now you're surprised?
Yeah. I'm ridiculous. Muleshoe's firewall was built with prayer and tumbleweeds. Yeah, probably.
If I told you that this wasn't an isolated incident,
I would not be surprised. I would 100% believe you. A, because you wouldn't just say something like that all willy-nilly.
Never. The Chekhov shotgun always fires in my stories.
Yes, and on the other hand, even if you weren't that type of person, it sounds very plausible that there are not just this. That wasn't just an isolated incident.
From our good friends again at Axios.
Wow, this is the most Axios fucking
right? It's the Axios show on top of
that. Yeah.
Russia-linked hackers claim cyber attacks on U.S., French, and Polish water utilities. A politically motivated hacking group behind the recent series of cyber attacks on water systems in the United States, Poland, and France is now believed to be connected to the Russian military. Researchers at a security firm, Mandiant, warned Wednesday. That same researching group, right?
Yep.
Almost like they know something. Why it matters? Well, not that I have to tell you, but water systems remain one of the most digitally insecure critical infrastructures. And a successful attack could also allow hackers to tamper with drinking water and wastewater management.
Would that be a big deal? If someone, fucked with the drinking water or the sewage management of...
Like reverse the flow of the sewer pipes?
Exactly. Could you imagine what kind of fucking disaster like, yeah, it sounds like, oh, that's disgusting, but it would also like be a fucking disaster.
It'd be a public health crisis.
Yes, like make no mistake, like, yeah, oh, ha ha ha, the shit's coming back up through the pipes, but like, no, that's a big fucking deal. Yeah.
We're not as equipped as Chicago is to clean up snow. I don't know how they're to clean up snow. And I don't know where that goes either.
Right, where does it go if it doesn't go back where it was?
Where it's supposed to go, which is now flowing the other way because they shut it down, but everybody's still flushing their toilet.
Right.
Because we all know nobody wanted to wear a mask for the good of public health, and nobody wanted to stay indoors for at least 2 weeks for the good of public health. So why would they stop flushing their toilet?
And listen, I get the idea of I don't want to pay taxes, but like this is why we pay taxes, is so we can protect and put in infrastructure to digitally secure the fucking water supply and the sewage management. Like, God damn it, what are we doing? We're spending billions on fucking airplanes, but we don't have a digitally secure water treatment plant and fucking waste management. What the fuck?
The Google Cloud-owned Mandiant said in a report Wednesday that the notorious Russian military hacking team known as Sandworm appears to have a direct relationship with several pro-Russia hacktivist groups. One of the Cyber Army of Russia, which has claimed responsibility for cyber attacks on water systems this year. Sandworm is also believed to have the ability to direct and influence the Cyber Army of Russia's activities, per Mandiant. Zoom in. In January, the Cyber Army of Russia posted on its Telegram channel that it had manipulated water systems that control supplies in several Texas towns and a wastewater utility in a Polish village. One such cyber attack in Muleshoe, Texas, resulted in hackers overflowing a water tower, sending tens of thousands of gallons of water into the streets and drain pipes, per the Washington Post. 2 other Texas towns detected malicious activity on their networks at the same time as the Muleshoe attack, CNN reported. In March, the same hacking group shared a different video claiming it broken into a French hydroelectric power station and could manipulate water levels. What they're leaving out about the hydroelectric station is that those are generally built in addition with dams, which hold a ginormous amount of reservoir of water from flooding something that could absolutely positively be nothing less than catastrophic.
Right. Again, these are things that are highly critical, and any fucking with them. This is why I'm saying, man, do we want that smoke? Because this is the shit we're up against. It's not hand-to-hand combat with these guys.
They're going to do it no matter what.
But if we poke the bear too hard, man, they ramp it up to a level that we know they're willing to cross. We're playing a game where we think that there are still rules, and we're going to follow the rules, right?
True.
And our opponent is highly unlikely to follow the rules.
And that's why you need to punch them in the mouth. And it's not because you teach them a lesson. It's because you show that leader is weak in the regard that, like, they can't match your military might or they outthink you on the battlefield. Watch those turning points. You have, like, all of those experts that know the situation, know the Russian mindset, know Putin's mindset, say the only thing he understands is a show of force, because he's not worried about clearly losing Russian lives or any other lives, right? What he's scared of is his life. And that's given the tendency in Russian politics and leadership that when things go south or things just appear to be going the wrong way, that person magically takes a vacation, loses power like Mikhail Gorbachev, or ends up dead in some Russian river with knives and stones stuck in their eyes and weird shit, right? Yeah. That's what he's afraid of. The show of force that makes him look weak is what he's afraid of, because there's no way they launch nuclear weapons. None, because they know the response. Their allies. China knows what happens after that. Iran knows Even North Korea knows what happens after that. Just one, even like one megaton tactical nuke to just wipe out one Orland Park-sized city. Just one. They know the response. And they know what it triggers. But they're daring us. And we're, okay, all right, don't launch those nuclear weapons. Don't do it. You guys have... And we got them too. And if you're going to do that, then guess what? It's all over with. So fuck it.
Yeah, again, yeah.
What, all that money that Putin, all those yachts, dude, that beautiful place that we've shown people in northern Russia, that palatial stand, all of it means nothing.
But if that documentary's also showed us anything, is that a nuclear response, either way, it ends poorly for everyone. Like
everyone.
So, like, is the response going to be so catastrophic? Because we know that we can't go balls to the wall in response, because you could literally wipe out billions. Because again, at some point, the nuclear fallout just covers the sun for like the entire planet. And like, even if you weren't anywhere near where those bombs were dropped, or you're not in the United States or Russia where those bombs were dropped, the entire world will be affected.
It's over.
So are we going to do that? Are we going to do that over one bomb being dropped?
That's what Russia is waving in front of our face. Do you want?
And I think I think he's got a point.
But they won't, and we know they won't.
Yeah,
we know they won't. So we're just backing down from a threat that we know is hollow and empty.
Yeah.
And we're letting people die. And we're setting the example that, hey, if you threaten the ultimate response, or like Iran just did today, a massive response, if you respond to our aggression, we're going to respond back even more. We back down from that because we're trying to be, hey, we're still trying to be the good guys, right? At this point. You know,
I think that's the right approach, is to still try to stay. We don't want that. There's a better way.
What's the difference of shooting down every single projectile that came towards Israel to shooting out every single projectile that comes towards Ukraine? We're not invading your country. We're not invading Russian airspace. We're just shooting down everything you're sending towards this other country.
Yeah. No, there's the answer to that question. There is an answer to that question.
And that answer lies in the House of Representatives. And Ben, let me tell you what they had planned for our legislature, the House of the People. The people that, if you remember, you know, that old cartoon, like how a bill is made, right? It starts in the House of Representatives, right?
Right.
Before Iran started to lob 300 plus projectiles towards Israel and causing this ruckus, this brouhaha. The Republicans were all set to devote an entire week of floor time to a bunch of pointless messaging bills like the Hands Off Our Home Appliance Act, the Liberty in Laundry Act, and the Refrigerator Reform or Freedom Act. Actually, the next link I sent you, the Twitter one, shows the entire bill and what they were going to talk about all week, Ben. This is not a joke. This is not fake news. This is what the Republican House of Representatives were going to try to pass as legislation during this point in American history. The Hands Off Our Appliance Act, the Liberty and Laundry Act, Clothes Dryers Reliability Act, Refrigerator Freedom Act, Affordable Air Conditioning Act, Stop Unaffordable Dishwasher Standards Act.
So they're literally just throwing junk out there just to fill, just nonsense to kill time, basically.
While they rage on the telly about the border. While they rage about the living conditions of the average American. While they rage about Israel. While they rage about everything they rage about in the angriest of angry politics.
It's why everything that they say and do rings hollow, dude.
You gave us Appliance Week. Thankfully, well, okay, there are level-headed people in our legislature and in our Congress. They got ridiculed to the point that they postponed Appliance Week. Thanks, guys. Thanks. I know we're running a little bit late. I'm going to try to get, but I think we need a little bit of a bit of a break here. I know I took us through a little bit of a breadcrumb episode, which I love. You like to call it that. Mm-hmm. Just the forces at work here, and how we have to actually believe, even if we don't necessarily think it's pure, in the goodness of America at this point. God, that sounds really weird for me to say. So, hey.
It does. It is weird to hear you say it. It's weird for you to be like, to hear you be almost stereotypically pro-American. But I understand where you're coming. You're not doing it in a draped in the flag, sort of like I wear the flag hat with, U.S. asshole, that kind of
U.S.
U.S. a-hole.
Super wrestling, catch them June 10th.
So you know what I mean? It doesn't come off that way, but it is. But the words are very similar. Like the feeling is very similar, though it is not so. It's not so stereotypically patriotic and like Neanderthal-y.
Because if it's not us standing in the middle of all this, against all of this, man, things get a lot worse for everybody. Ourselves, our wives, our girlfriends, our brothers, our sisters, our moms, our dads, our cousins, for everybody, everywhere. The people we don't know, the people we do know. And we just saw an example of why voting matters. Because a lot of fucking dumb people bought a lot of stupid bullshit. Mm-hmm. And bought into the bluster and bought into the anger and voted emotionally for folks that wanted to do the Refrigerator Freedom Act. What the
to
fuck
own the
does
libs,
that
dude?
Even fucking mean?
They're doing it to own the libs.
You're just delaying doing your actual job while then complaining about everybody else not doing theirs. You suck, and you need to do a lot better. And I'm done at that point. But hey, Ben, again, I think a little bit of a quick kind of refresher.
Yeah, what is going on here in this video?
We love science, and this is literally sound waves and vibration affecting fire.
Whoa. That's fucking incredible. That's insane.
Man,
how does that work?
Well, I'm sure that. So I'm sure there's some forced air going through there. I'm sure the vibrations.
That's really fucking impressive.
Seriously, the flames aren't dancing to the musical notes. They're responding to the vibrations provided in the airwaves of that trumpet, right? But even
so it has nothing to do with necessarily with the, because you'd think it would be like the oxygen level provided, but that's not. It's the sound wave, because like when he hits the high note, the flames get real big. Like that is really fucking cool.
Frequency, and that might have something to do with how narrow the nozzle for that particular flame was, because that's frequency. The same amount of air generally is generated for those for those higher notes and stuff like that. Like the more air you provide in the music, as a former clarinetist, recovering clarinet. The more air you provide to a musical instrument like that, the louder it gets, not necessarily the higher the pitch that you play.
Right.
So that was all vibration, and
wow.
Just something that's super cool, right? But I think we're gonna. There's a NASA story there, really quick, that was sent in by our very own Ryan Hansen. Oh, actually, do the Twitter, the bookmarks X. It shows up as really quick.
The one the monkey deal.
No, it was right after the Science Girl one. Did I not send that to you?
The election of the mayor of London?
Yes, because folks were, as you'd expect and as usual, we're on the right side of history here, folks. As featured on this show, Count Binface,
yes,
mayor of London, has officially made the ballot.
Yes!
Here's the ballot. There it is. Count Binface.
Oh, man.
Showed he has a great video that we showed with a great song. His platform is he's going to make croissants available for everybody and rename a bridge. It's just beautiful. And he made the ballot. Count Binface. Hear, hear, cheer, cheer.
Yes, hold on. Just so everybody can remember who we're talking about here. There's our boy Count Binface.
It is just
on the ballot, baby.
Just a great thing, and just a great acknowledgement over everybody's political process, I guess, right now. Sent in to us from stalwart of the show and famous for his remixes of the Lightning Round, which is coming up shortly. Ryan Hansen sent this video in, and you just gotta love it. NASA confirms that the mystery object that crashed through the roof of a Florida home came from the space station.
What?
Naples, Florida. Hello. NASA confirmed Monday that a mystery object that crashed through the roof of a Florida home last month was a chunk of space junk from the equipment discarded at the International Space Station. It made it at the International Space Station, which sounds like it's immediately accessible to everybody. It's not.
It's not, yeah.
The cylindrical object that tore through the home in Naples on March 8 was subsequently taken to the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral for analysis, where they said, guys, we fucked up.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, the space agency said it was a metal support used to mount old batteries on a cargo pallet for disposal. The pallet was jettisoned from the space station in 2021, and the load was expected to eventually fully burn up into entry in Earth's atmosphere. But it survived. But this at least one piece survived. The chunk of metal weighed 1.6 pounds. It was 4 inches tall and roughly 11.5 inches wide. Homeowner Alejandro Otero told the television, WINK, wink, at the time, that he was on vacation when his son told him what had happened. Otero came home early to check on the house, finding the object had ripped through his ceiling and tore up the flooring. I was shaking. I was in complete disbelief. What are the chances of something landing on my house with such force to cause so much damage? I'm grateful that nobody got hurt. And so are we here.
Yeah, that's incredible. Incredibly lucky that no one got hurt.
And I think, just given that it's in Florida, my conspiracy theory mind kicks into overdrive. And I think the headline should be rewritten. Let me go back to the headline. NASA confirms mystery object that crashed through Florida home came from space station. I would rewrite it. NASA tests object that can crash through the roof of a Florida home fired from the space station. That is how I would rewrite it. That is why I firmly believe that we, the logical and humble, good Americans of the United States of America, are tired of Florida man bullshit, even though they populate the world's most favorite segment on this show.
What would we do without Florida man?
I don't. That's a really good and existential question.
We would. This segment would be way less fun without Florida
but I'll
providing such antics.
I don't think Florida's
I mean, they may not be in there this week, but overall, the state of Florida has contributed more to the lightning round than any other state in the union.
Oh, I think that's fair. That's a fair assessment. Welcome to the lightning round, ladies and gentlemen. We already see the lightning bolts in the world's most dangerous chat zone. We call that the Thunderdome. As we try to get through this and get you guys off to wherever you're going after this show is over shortly, it is the lightning round. And if you're not familiar, let me go through the rules really quick. If you're joining us on Twitch, on the YouTube, or on the Facebook, I read 3 headlines. 3 contestants enter the Thunderdome. You, the people, decide which story we cover and the ultimate exercise of democracy. So, with a lot of dilly-dally.
Yes.
Headline number 1. Axe body spray finds an unlikely new customer. Grouchy sheep. Headline number 2.
Stinky high schoolers and sheep.
Brazilian police detain woman suspected of taking a dead man to withdraw a bank loan.
Like Weekend at Bernie's.
And headline number 3. Earmuffs, Sir Aaron. Retired chiropractor, quote, killed Elvis impersonator by chloroforming him more than once during sex.
There's a lot going on there.
Thus the lightning round, ladies and gentlemen. I don't make them up. I just report them. There's
no clear winner.
The planet, and culminated and carefully curated for you. So I got my notepad here. We are ready to start counting votes as they start.
The seal has been broken. Billy Wack and Adrian both voting for number 3 right out of the chute.
And it is way dark.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes, it is. But okay, I know that was a lot, and it was fast. So let's we gotta make sure we understand everyone. Kind of recalibrate, I guess. Take a nice deep breath in, blow that breath out, and review the headlines for Topic Thunder's Lightning Round. Headline number 1. Axe body spray finds unlikely new customer. Grouchy sheep. That's another rough meal.
Aaron, you can't control the content, I see.
Headline number 2. Brazilian police detain woman suspected of taking a dead man to withdraw a bank loan. And the presumptive winner, headline number 3. Although we're taking votes, folks.
There are some votes for the other ones.
You gotta vote. Headline number 3. Retired chiropractor killed Elvis impersonator by chloroforming him more than once during sex. The Australian guy coming in with number...
him and Gigi going with number 1.
We got a couple votes there. And we're in an interesting situation right now where it's kind of close.
It is. Number 1 could sneak in and make this...
now it just got even more interesting.
I agree. There's so much going on in number 3. Like it really is. But I understand people going with the other ones. Although I am surprised with the Axe body spray one. I think the Australian guy's just trying to be different. Axe Ba edition. Dead fun in Sao Paulo, and Get Down with Elvis.
From Ryan Hansen, the remix of the headlines, if you will.
Remix.
Just like that. And do we have a vote from Mr. Hansen?
Yeah, Ryan, we need you to vote to kind of either push this over the edge or create a tie.
Yeah, I don't see.
I just like sheep. There you go.
Well,
hey, you know what? We got you to actually comment something more. So, number three. Why is he a retired chiropractor? Elvis impersonator, chloroform twice. There's so much I need to know.
We don't know.
Well, guess what? We're gonna find out
twice. It literally says more than once. We don't know twice.
Exactly. You're just assuming it was twice.
You are assuming, sir. And
I think number 3 is gonna win because not Ryan Hansen. I think put it over the edge.
I think we got everybody. So yeah, actually, it was kind of close for a little bit, but we do have a clear-cut winner, ladies and gentlemen. It is number 3. You have been heard. So let's hear about this retired chiropractor who killed an impersonator, an Elvis impersonator, by chloroforming him more than once during sex. His name is Ronald Rayer. And
Ronald Reagan? What?
Rayer. No, that's a different story altogether. And that would be even more fun, because if it was actually Ronald Reagan, now we're talking about necromancy.
Yes.
And that would then, of course, have to happen in the state of Florida. Hello. A retired chiropractor from upstate New York is facing manslaughter charges after he allegedly killed an Elvis Presley impersonator by chloroforming him during sex. Ronald Rayer, 69. Nice. Restraining and binding Thomas Kreider, 40, then administering a dangerous dose of chloroform more than one time during the sexual encounter, which led to his death on April 5th, according to court documents obtained by the Times Union. 4 days after Kreider's death, Mr. Rayer went to the Saratoga County Sheriff's Office and Let's slow down here. 4 days after Kreider's death, Mr. Rayer went to the Saratoga County Sheriff's Office and reported that his body was in the basement of his home, according to the Sheriff Jeffrey Brown. Mr. Rayer was then arrested and charged with second-degree manslaughter and evidence tampering for allegedly removing Kreider's things from the crime scene, the Times Union said. It's unclear whether Mr. Rayer where Mr. Kreider got the chloroform. Investigators said that the two had known each other for many years and had both the sexual encounter and chloroform use appeared consensual. Kreider, who went by the stage name of T.J. Green, and also worked as a tour guide for the local Star Trek museum in Ticonderoga, went missing on Friday when he last spoke to his wife, Heidi Green. What did you know about? Did you know that your husband was involved in these weird homoerotic trysts? Or that he was a Star Trek guide at a Star Trek museum? Because they both seem to be very awkward and oblique alternate lives. This is a quote from Ms. Green. He was always so trusting that even if he met somebody one time, they were a friend, recalling her concern over his easygoing and trusting nature. In the days following the Star Trek superfan's disappearance, his loved ones spread the word on social media. He was a sci-fi geek and nerd, Ms. Green said. He was into so many things. He even got a tattoo sleeve on his arm of just He-Man and She-Ra characters.
Oh, wait a minute.
Created to help his wife with.
Oh, God damn it, with the tattoos.
Kreider as a talented performer, whether he was wearing sequins as Elvis or whether he is guiding Star Trek tour, like live long and prosper. Oh.
Is there a piece of Billy Whack that is jealous of his He-Man sleeve?
I mean, maybe.
Everyone in this story got
probably not of this man's ultimate demise. He brought his compassion and energy to every performance, and he touched many lives. The multitude of condolences showed up on social media to speak just how many people loved him. As of Friday afternoon, the campaign had raised over $14,000 for the funeral expenses. This is again from Miss Green. He was my whole world, my heart, my soul. I don't know what I'm going to do without him.
That's sad, but yes.
Rayer was arraigned and is being held at the Saratoga County Jail for $250,000 bail. His next court date is May 21. And that was Topic Thunder number 152. If you're scoring at home, folks. And as always, we are deeply humbled and appreciative of your support every week, every Wednesday at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. So again, we love getting together like this. It's the community that drives this show, and that's you guys in the world's most dangerous chat zone. So again, thanks for joining us, folks. Don't forget, if you're local here to the Chicagoland area, June 10th, come out and see the Super Wrestlers at the Concord Music Theater. It's a really good time. It's rowdy, it's fun, it's entertaining, it's a story, it's mystic, it's pro wrestling, so in a different way. So come out and check it out, and we'll keep talking about what we talk about. This is from the deck of the USS Rapapa. I'm Brooks. That's Ben.